and followers and subscribers and just genuine people. I have come on this evening to share with you some downloads and various different knowings and knowledgings of the upcoming new moon in Pisces that will be on March 2nd, 2022. You'll have the 3 days before and the 3 days after also to have some of that energy, so we're already at the tip of that energy. It's funny already. I can feel like part of a sneeze. Like, is it gonna go? Is it not gonna go? And that that's actually funny enough, similar to some of the energy going on. It feels like, I mean, if we look at world affairs and we look at like various different collectives and the ways that things are going in that, like we're looking at this like, oh, what do you call it? The Divine Comedy, this dance between Pluto and Neptune, which is like Pisces and Scorpio. And then you got the lunar nodes doing their thing with Taurus also involved in there. So, it's like a bull and a, was it a bull and a scorpion and some fishes went into a china shop. You know what I mean? Like all those teacups, all that. Oh my goodness, right? Can you imagine? That's the kind of energy that's coming in, but it's also got this like undercurrent. That's the best way I could put it. And I mean, if you think about it, both Pisces and Scorpio are about depth in their own different ways. And there's this like interplay of like endings and beginnings and betweens and adjacent doorways and magical happenings and miracles and once in a lifetime things and romance and lust and war and peace and success and all these different things. But it's like, I feel like it's a combination. Like there's like one running timeline that's like a Jenga tower that's got like it's somebody pulled at the bottom, like somebody was almost being bratty or something, and like pulled one out in just such a way that that Jenga tower is like teetering, and like it won't fall on its own, but it also isn't staying stable. You know what I mean? Like somebody else may even like try to blow on it gently, and it still doesn't go. So like the next person has to try to pull a piece, but everybody knows, if you try to pull a piece out of it at that point in time, you're gonna lose. And so, like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Like, I don't know if you're the person who pulled like, where it got bratty and pulled the Jenga cube just that way so that the tower was still up, but it's like sitting there, and the next person to do it most definitely is going to be the one to knock the Jenga tower over, like whatever it is. Like, or maybe somebody's done that with you. Maybe you're like, but it feels like that. Like, it's interesting. It's like that on that timeline. It feels like the energy of like the Jenga tower falling won't necessarily like. I mean, it's like a tower card. Like, yeah, the process of it falling might feel messy or complicated or like you might get caught in thoughts of like what are the pieces of this thing that I'm doing, or what pieces do I want to pick back? Do I want to play the game again? Do I not want to play the game again? Like, things like that. Or like, do I want to take those Jenga bricks and like just build something completely different just for fun, just to be like a kid again? Like you could go so many different ways with that energy once the Jenga tower is over. And it's funny, I'm feeling this energy of like when I talk about the Jenga tower on its like just teetering there, like it could fall on its own, but it's not going to. It's got to be the next person. Like I can feel the tension running in that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's funny because the energy feels like the people playing are being so competitive they've forgotten that it is a game, and that, I mean, even if it doesn't necessarily fall, you still got to eventually put those pieces back in the box to put it away, don't you? I mean, you're just going to leave the Jenga tower sitting on the table, or you're going to leave the Jenga blocks just laying out. I mean, eventually it's going to come down, whether you put it there or you play the game, you let it fall. But it feels like once the Jenga tower has fallen and the pieces are scattered, that it's almost like, oh, if someone was doing like pedestaling, which is kind of like all or nothing thinking, splitting, putting people up on a pedestal, putting themselves up on a pedestal, keeping people off pedestals, like way like holding or a pedestal that maybe got someone else on a pedestal, or like, and it feels like this energy of like, especially with Pisces and Scorpio, like a lot of truths being revealed, a lot of confessional energy, a lot of like stuff that people have been trying to hide, like they do something that reveals themselves and they're like caught red-handed, or like various clues come about, like, and because, oh man, because it's Pisces new moon, and we've got all that Scorpio energy in there. It's also kind of like, I mean, what's the best way to put it? It's like divine intervention. Like things are happening right now and will continue to happen, not just when this new moon comes in. Like, I'm not kidding. This is one of the most powerful new moons. And that this moon every year, the Pisces new moon is always significant, and it's always powerful, but it's not always this powerful. There's several things going on. Just look at the numbers in the date, right? 3/2/2022. That equals 11. That's the justice card. It's karma, it's balancing, it's things like that, and also reduces to two, the high priestess, right? And those energies can be upright or reversed, like whatever way you want to look at it. 11 is also considered to be a master number, and both 11 and 2 are about duality, right? So and like there might be some of that two of swords kind of energy in there, to where like you might need to make decisions without necessarily being able to see, like with your eyes, or with your I'm going to say your the front of your brain, like your direct consciousness. You might not be able to see the thing that either that you're choosing, or you might not be able to see very far ahead on like, what's the path if I choose this, or what's the path if I choose that. You might only be able to see a little distance. Like, if I go to this place, I might have more opportunities, but there also might, those opportunities might dry up quickly, and then we gotta go again. Or it might be like, I could completely dishevel the situation that I'm in and go off on my own, and I could be extremely happy and really really good in that way, or I could stay in a currently like roller coastery Jenga tower type dynamic with family, friends, things like that, and keep replaying this game. Like, there's a lot of like review of things, because it's the last new moon of the astrological calendar. Because remember, Pisces is the 12th sign. It is the oldest sign, the most mature. It's funny. And it's funny because most people don't see Pisces as the most mature, but they often are. Y'all really often, you really are. um, but it's that like between, so there's two things going on between the Pisces new moon and then the Aries new moon. Like it's like a womb space in there, a creation space, a sandbox space, things like that. And the Pisces new moon, like, and I've practiced this the last couple of years, so like I feel like I can really like speak about it from a place of like, oh, okay, I did this at that moon, and then this stuff happened over time. Because with the Pisces new moon, we like new moons are about like setting intentions. Like, pick the seeds that you want and put them in the ground, and give them your love and whatever water or whatnot they need. And then you go through the time up into the full moon in Pisces in Virgo season, and that is when you really start to see what you manifested. Now, it's important to think about, like, you want to have clarity in the things that you manifest. A simple example is like, when I ask for something, I typically always ask for it to be benevolent, balanced, joyful, and to bring me more gratitude. Because like say you ask for money, right? You could manifest money, but maybe it doesn't come in a way that you necessarily want it. Maybe it comes through a job that you don't like, but it pays really well. So like, then you got to deal with all the emotionalness or the physical crap, and then it's like, is this really a job that you can keep long term? Like, money's good or not, is it there for you? And it could be could be, the other way around too could be like maybe you want to be, what was it? I was just thinking like maybe you find a job that fits your passion, but it does not pay as much. And the other thing too is like when you experience yourself looking at dualities of like this or that, first of all, that's a big thing going on right now between how the lunar node placements and the dance going on between Pluto and Neptune and Mars and Venus too. Like there's a lot of like extremes. And there, well, what's funny too is there's a lot of extremes, and then there's also this interesting between place of like peacefulness and freedom from resistance that is in there, and it's both an extreme and not an extreme because it's in the middle. It's like interesting energies going on with all of them. But what I mean to say is when you see duality, like, sometimes we can get stuck in belief systems, and this is the portal of beliefs, and this will help you understand why. When we get stuck in duality, black or white, this or that, splitting, all or nothing, pedestaling, we miss that there are often many ways to get things and that we're not stuck with only this or only that. You know what I mean? Like, if you have somebody that you love and say you want to be with them, but your family would not like it or appreciate it, or you feel like they would, like, I don't know, abandon you, or that it couldn't, that like your friends wouldn't like them or their friends wouldn't like you. It's like a lot of people get into that. Well, it's all or nothing. Either like everybody flat out in my family got to like them, even the people I don't like, but they got to like them, or it's no good. Like why would you do that to yourself? Like look at you've got many more options in the middle. You know what I mean? Same thing with like, let's take another love example. Maybe you have somebody that, like, let's say you love like 80% of who they are and what they do with their life and how they spend their time and their virtues and things like that, but like 20% of the 20% of the time they do things that really challenge you or get your goat. Like, are you going to toss out a good relationship that's like 80%, like somebody that you like 80%, and let's say your relationship with them is 80% good? Are you going to chuck it because one or two things are not perfect? Because a lot of people do, you know? And then likewise, we can go to the other extreme and like let's say they're good like 10% of the time, but 90% of the time they're a pain in the ass and they trigger us and there's all sorts of different things going on. But like we hold on for that little 10. Or maybe that 10% is some sort of convenience. We can get easy sex or attention or um, money or things like that. And like we'll hold on to like a 90% sucky dynamic that is in all ways like not contributing to our happiness because of that little 10%. Like, and but there are middle ways. Like almost any spiritual path in the world talks about it. Not all religions do, but most all spiritual paths talk about it. There's always a middle way. There's always middle ground. There's always, and it's not always compromise either. Like a lot of people think that they've got to compromise to get what they want. Sometimes that's true. Sometimes it's not that you have to. It's just more valuable. You might be able to get to the next step or get to a place where you can work with the thing that you have in the moment to manifest the thing that you want or the situation that you want, things like that. But this Pisces new moon is a time when, like, it's funny, there's so many things flowing. It's a time when psychic energy is really abundant. Many of you might be dreaming more, or you might feel more tired during the day because maybe you've been like doing dream work in your sleep. Um, you might also actually be in kind of a daydream energy during the day. You might feel like you're a little bit more in fantasy. You might also, on the shadow side, you might feel like you're seeing more ghosts or echoes or imprints or having experiences of that sort of nature. Like there could be many different things going on for you that are in the paranormal sort of area. And this will probably, I want to say it's kind of a bigger theme, especially for the year, because like 2022, it's three high priestesses. And like, I mean, that's going to be that's the shadow and the light of that. You know what I mean? It's the same thing. It also equals six, so it's lovers, right? The shadow and the light of that. And so this new moon in Pisces is really important because it's like it's what it's when you can sow the seeds, like what do you want, and be clear about it. Like, do you not give a crap how you get it? Like, do you want love with anybody? Are you good with anybody so long as they love you and put up with your crap? Like, you want it, you can have it, but you might want to be careful what you ask for and why you ask for it. Like, are you asking for someone to come to you because you are lonely? Or do you want someone to come into your life and that you just appreciate them as a person, and they have a natural reciprocity to appreciate you, but there might be sometimes when you're still lonely, because loneliness typically does not come from whether or not we have people around us. It comes from how we feel about ourselves and our belief systems, right? Especially belief about self-love. Like, when you love yourself, it's not it's not like you can sit there and, like, well, I mean, you could sit there and look in the mirror and talk to yourself, because people who love themselves are not afraid to look in the mirror at themselves. However, it's not like there are never moments when you're like, hey, I'd like to be social. I would like, I think a lot of people, and this feels like a theme of this. In fact, you know what? I did pick up that Three of Cups, or that Three of Hearts card the other day randomly in a parking lot, and it reminded me of the Three of Cups. So, kind of this theme of like, looking at your beliefs about how things have to be, and like it's like spirits bringing them all like to the surface, like with the Queen of Cups, it's almost like she's sitting there gazing at her cup, right? But it's like if spirit like came up under and like started lifting the cup up, so it's like almost in her face, like that almost. And it's one of those, like, if you've had rose colored glasses on, or you've been repressing emotions, or in unhealthy ways, because there are some times when it's healthier to repress some emotions and stuff. Everything has a time and a place and a balance and things like that. But it's that energy coming in and being like, is this what you believe? Is this really what you believe? Like, a lot of people who, like, that for a long time they were comfortable in city life, like they're doing similar things as myself and others, like going out to where there's land, going out to where there's farms. So a lot of people out here talk about city sickness. Like, there's a fair amount of people that come out in all these different areas, and not just here in Washington, like all sorts of areas, because they're just like, they're worn out on the city life, like everything's so close, everything's so convenient, and not a lot of fresh air or natural lighting or things like that. It's very different, and other people are doing different things too. But in order to do that, sometimes you gotta release certain old beliefs. Like, one, can you do it on your own? Like, if you don't feel like you could do things on your own, you're gonna have a hard time feeling like you can do things with anybody else. Like, that's just generally the way human nature works, even on just a dry, vanilla, mundane psychology, like, fact in there. If you can't give it to yourself, you're gonna have a hard time even recognizing how to receive it from somebody else. You know what I mean? But once you realize, like loneliness often comes from a place of like learned helplessness, rather than like the actual, like, what is loneliness. Like, you want to socialize with people, right? And yeah, like, you might want to have like a regular person to do that with, but if you can't go out and, like, I don't know, socialize with people in real life and not just on a screen and stuff like that, and it like actually make friendships, how are you gonna expect that you're gonna come across somebody that you want to talk to on a regular basis, that's like another, that's a healthy individual? You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that that can't happen online. I'm just saying, like, there are so many different ways to do things, but most of us get caught up in, what do they say, not seeing for the forest for the trees, because we're like, it has to be this way, or it has to be that way, or I made this commitment to always be this person. Like, especially that last one, like, a lot of people make what I call hard rules about themselves and about how they'll interact, and then they think those are boundaries. But really, look it up. Like, actual psychology, human behavioral psychology, healthy boundaries are flexible. They're not, they're not things that you could, like, that just lay down and become doormats. But, like, a healthy boundary is not something that you like require as a hard rule with every single person. It's not even necessarily something that you require always with the same person, because a lot of people grow and you hold yourself to boundaries, because boundaries are when we hold ourselves to certain behaviors and things like that, not when we have rules for other people. And but a healthy boundary, you should feel comfortable moving around it. And what a lot of people end up doing is getting into this like, I have to be rock solid about this, and this, and they hold themselves rigidly, which is really unnatural for human beings, like just genuinely unnatural for human beings. And then you want to talk about like unnatural on like a soul level, like an energetic being level, is also very unnatural. But what it feels like though is like this energy of, what's that song? I'm blinded by the light. Oh, blinded by the light. And it feels like that energy of like so many people have found themselves in spaces of darkness, likely to where they thought that they would feel different in one way or another, either worse or better or something, and they don't, and they want to get out of it. They don't want to stay in it. They don't want to surrender to it. They want to get out of it. And they're realizing the reason that there is no light around to see where to go is because they are the light. And so they're learning to become the light, learning to radiate the light so that they can see the path out themselves. And you're probably included in this. I know I'm included in this. And so this is a good moment with this Pisces new moon to like stop and think about like, I mean, I guess like, what kind of light magic do you want to work with, and what do you want to bring into the light, and what do you want to give birth to, and in the spring, and what do you want to be watering for most of the year, because this will go up to the Pisces full moon in Virgo season, and then go all the way back around to the final new moon of the year again in Pisces. And like, and I'll have to do another video. Sorry about that. Had a weird disconnect. And what's funny about that is like there is a fair amount of that technological, like glitches energy. In fact, I've had several other people use that word in context that I wouldn't usually have expected it in their syntax. So like, definitely like, it's almost like a wrinkle in time sort of energy of a glitch, like various different timelines are kind of like coming together and forming different bridges and connecting to adjacent doorways and windows and things like that. And so, like, take the time right now to consider. I mean, if you had the power to call to you the, I want to say, like, if you were like on a staircase, like in Hogwarts or something, a moving staircase, and like you couldn't necessarily control the timing of when the staircase moved, but you could decide what was at the other side no matter where it moved to. You know what I mean? Like if it moves you from where you were going up, and then like no matter where it connects to or where it moves, you still end up on your path. Maybe you got to go an extra set of stairs up, or maybe you got to go through some quest in the middle or something, but you still get what you want, or get to have the feelings that you want, or the thing that you're calling in and asking for. And like, it's a really good time to focus on your intuition too. And like, I mean, that could be something that maybe you plant the seeds to grow, that like your ability to be intuitive and to know how to do that sort of stuff. You never know. All right, y'all, I am going to end this video here. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you have more questions about this upcoming Pisces new moon, or questions about like moon magic and things like that, or timing and such things, I would be happy to answer those questions. Leave them in the comments or send me an email at wickedlydivinefeminine@gmail.com.